Let it be recorded for whatever species finds this scorched slab of earth a million years from now and learns to read through radioactive glaze, that in the year of our Lord 2025, the United States of America, that high-minded experiment in liberty and lunacy, entered the second reign of Donald J. Trump. The crown was not returned by vote alone, but by fear, fatigue, fraudulence, and the magnificent machinery of misinformation. And in the first 100 days of this revival tour of executive buffoonery, the nation was reminded that if history does not repeat itself, it damn well rhymes in a minor key. The first order of business naturally was vengeance, not against foreign powers or looming threats to the republic, but against dignity, decency, and the ghost of democracy itself. Executive orders were signed in a blur of swollen fingers and synthetic jubilation. Immigration was once again used as a wedge, cutting clean through the sinews of the Statue of Liberty's old promise. Environmental protections were gutted with the ferocity of a mobster clearing ledgers, and in a cruel twist of Orwellian comedy, the Department of Education began distributing pamphlets referring to slavery as involuntary relocation, while erasing mention of LGBTQ+ history and civil rights leaders not named Reagan or Thatcher. All of it happened fast. Fascism doesn't march anymore. It scrolls, it tweets, it signs things in gold ink with televised applause. It moves like an iPhone notification, and Americans, God bless us, we watched. Some in horror, some in glee, and most with numb caffeine-stained stupor, as the Constitution became a suggestion and the Bill of Rights just a nostalgia piece for bored high schoolers. But still there were daffodils. That's the damn thing. There were still daffodils. In Washington, Connecticut, and Little Rock, Arkansas, and Dayton, Ohio, those little yellow things pushed up through the crust like stubborn, laughing rebels. They bloomed under the same skies that bolstered lies and drones, and that's what we had the first 100 days. Beauty and bullshit in equal measure. Hope and horror holding hands like nervous lovers before a war. The protests began on day one not with torches or fists, but with signs, songs, and soup kitchens. Women, men, children, old veterans in worn coats, teenagers with skateboards and poetry in their pockets, all took to the streets because while the president declared himself emperor by executive fiat and tried to criminalize dissent under the guise of order, America's better angels remembered that disobedience is not only a right, it's a right. They marched in the rain, they danced in the snow, they organized potlucks and burned out old towns where factories once breathed, because even in hell, flowers grow. And the people wept, and they laughed, and they sang, and they stood their ground. The founding fathers would have lost their minds. Jefferson would have run to Paris. Franklin would have started printing anti-Trump pamphlets called Poor Donnie's Almanac. Hamilton would have challenged the bastard to a duel on the steps of Mar-a-Lago, and Washington would have burned the whole damn thing down and started over. These men were many things: hypocrites, slaveholders, radicals, but they knew tyranny when they saw it, and they didn't build a republic to see it auctioned off like a foreclosed casino in Atlantic City. So here we are, watching the same old tricks dressed in newer, shinier wrapping, watching the working class praise billionaires who sold their jobs overseas, watching families rip themselves apart over propaganda that turns neighbors into enemies, watching politicians talk about liberty while building bigger fences, better guns, and longer prison sentences for protesters and pregnant women. But we are not gone, not by a long shot. The joy still lingers in the corners of this crumbling house. You can find it in church basements where organizers pass around flyers and bowls of chili. You can feel it on the floor of punk rock shows and rural gymnasiums all across the Midwest. You can see it in the smirks of teachers who still sneak Howard Zinn into the curriculum. It is the joy of resistance, not the loud defiance of martyrs, but the quiet daily decision to do what's right, even when it's no longer legal. And that matters, because the thing about America is that it's always been two countries, one of power, privilege, and violent control, and one of rebellion, poetry, and freedom songs. The second one never really ruled, but goddamn if it didn't stir the soul. So let the first 100 days be remembered not just for the shameful executive orders or the cultish pageantry of faux patriotism, but for the stubborn hope that wouldn't die. Let them write about the daffodils and the child who held a cardboard sign that said, "Be kind or be quiet." The old women who smuggled contraceptives into red states and called it reverse evangelism. we are still here. The Republic may be in hospice, hooked to a ventilator of corporate interest and bleeding civil liberties out of every orifice, but the spirit that birthed it still kicks like hell under the sheets. Even if these tyrants want to kill that spirit, they'll have to chase it through every cracked sidewalk, every school library, every dive bar, every protest song sang at midnight, because the thing they keep forgetting is this: people don't need permission, only a reason. And the first 100 days of this jackboot parade have given us more reasons than we ever asked for. And still the daffodils bloom, defying still death.